Oh boy, everybody. I hate to say it, but we're gonna have to talk about one of my biggest goats of my childhood, who has also become one of the most washed figures on all of the internet. Tobuscus. Yeah, this guy. The guy responsible for Nugget and a Biscuit, all of those classic gaming videos, I Can Swing My Sword, Safety Torch. We could go on. We could go on. Tobuscus had an undeniably massive impact on internet culture when I was growing up, and I was a massive fan of his, as was everybody that I was friends with growing up. We're also a big fan of his. Now, naturally, he began to fall off as gaming content took a back seat to commentary starting in, I'd say, 2015, 2016. But shortly after that, he was hit with a double whammy of allegations of rape and abuse. An ex of his claimed that he was a habitual drug abuser, and that on top of that, he had forced himself onto her, according to her. Tobuscus felt the need to immediately respond, and he did so, and his response was not good. He just flatly denied a lot of the claims made by this girl that she was able to prove were factual. So she had evidence to back up her claims, and he was just saying, well, she's lying. So that was already pretty rough, you know? Even though it's still pretty he said, she said, she's demonstrated more honesty than he has, at least by substantiating some of her claims with proof, and him substantiating none of them with proof. And then years pass, and because most people took the allegations as serious, he pitters out pretty hard. In the meantime, the discussion about whether or not these allegations were true took on a lot of traction. I distinctly remember when Philip DeFranco accidentally outed another instance of Tobuscus engaging in alleged SA-type behavior. Years and years and years ago, years and years before this event happened, Philip DeFranco, the news guy, hosted a Super Bowl party that was inviting mostly big influencers and YouTubers, and he hosted it at his house. Tobuscus was invited. Tobuscus showed up high. Now, Philip DeFranco didn't say who did this when he told the story, but he said that at his Super Bowl party last week, an influencer that he won't name showed up very high, kept pulling out his penis and waving it in the faces of some women at the party, and just generally made quite the nuisance of himself. Yeah. Now, obviously, Philip DeFranco didn't name the person who did this, but years and years and years later, when the Tobuscus drama would happen, not remembering he had told this story anonymously, or making the person who had done it anonymous already, Philip DeFranco said a couple years back, Tobuscus did something really fucked up at a party I threw, but I don't want to get into it unless the people who were victimized want to get into it. And I don't believe the people who were victimized ever came forward, but the fact that Philip DeFranco accidentally outed Tobuscus as having allegedly done that makes me very prone to believe these allegations, because we're not just talking about some disgruntled ex doing he said, she said type stuff here. We're talking years ago, multiple mentions, while forgetting that had already been mentioned before, which kind of lends legitimacy to the idea that a story is the truth. Like, if someone comes to you and tells you a story, and it's pretty far-fetched, and you're like, damn, and then years later they mention, did I ever tell you about the time that this happened? And you know, it's the same exact story, detail for detail, you know? It's a pretty good sign that it's probably the truth, even if it's a pretty crazy or far-fetched story. And that's kind of how I see Philip DeFranco talking about Tobuscus at a Super Bowl party. So this guy completely falls off. Everybody sees him as kind of a predator, kind of a weirdo, kind of a crash out. And then he starts pivoting to the right. I mean, he befriended Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know if you guys know this, but he and Kyle Rittenhouse hang out pretty frequently. Some of his more recent videos are, I was wrong about Tourette's, Nature's N-word pass, food stamps, is they cuttin', DJ Nugget and a Biscuit performs at the Sphere, then that as a short. Safety News, Illegal Aliens from Outer Space and its AI slop. Hate Speech by Tobuscus. 8647. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Oh my god, my kid learned the Yay song, why is it on baby apps? Okay? I make $100 million every second. I ain't never gonna say word like, and then the N-word. Okay. The N-word. Yeah, so as you can see, he's been having a normal one. He's been having a normal one. Now, when I see his behavior online, I try to ignore it. I grew up watching this guy. He was one of my heroes. He was one of my inspirations. You know, I wouldn't be a YouTuber today, you could argue, if it weren't for Tobuscus. However, when I see him post stuff like this, "Hello once again, my brothers," literally sneezes before I can finish the sentence. Sheet, sorry about that. And then it's an AI altered version of him, but he's black. He's doing just a little bit of that AI slop digital blackface here. And all I could think when I quote tweeted this, and I don't even remember typing out this tweet, but boy did it do numbers. There's only one path left for influencers after the rape allegations hit, and it's true. It's true. This guy was struggling for a decade, pretty much. The last decade, this dude's been irrelevant online because these rape allegations that basically destroyed his career. And so he realized if he was ever going to come back, if he was ever going to be relevant again, it's time to identify a target audience that doesn't care about rape or even considers it a thing to celebrate and start pandering to them relentlessly. And that's why, even though obviously I have a shitload of likes on this post, some of the comments on this post are just straight up threats to rape me or claims that Tobuscus had false allegations or whatever. And you'll look at like the age of some of the people who comment this, and it's like they were 10 when this all happened. And it's like, yeah, okay. Unfortunately, this is kind of one of the downsides of getting old, is young people start getting to be old enough that their voice has any kind of impact and starts getting taken seriously, and you have to sit and watch as they rewrite history about events they weren't even sentient for, and you were there to witness and were perhaps even quite close to, right? And that's kind of how I that's kind of how I feel seeing all of these like 20-year-olds. Because if you were, you know, like that's how old they are, like 20-year-olds were like 10, 9 years old when this whole Tobuscus drama happened, saying that it was false allegations. And I'm like, how the hell would you know? You weren't even there, bro. The fuck? I don't know. For me, I have a hard time taking some of those comments seriously. But let's go ahead and take a look at what this guy's been up to lately. What about his newest video? I was wrong about Tourette's. Oh my god, is he like just a full-on... He's a full-on... like a guy talking to the camera now, talking into the microphone in front of a camera like me. Shit. I guess that's what he's always been, but now he's talking about politics. Oh boy. All right, guys, here we go. Oh wait, there's no audio. My bad. Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
First draft of the night for a vital part of movie making. We're here to celebrate.
Some of you are getting on my last God-given nerves.
Oh, really?
The fact that I have to come up here to...
Hold on, you don't have to come up here. You don't have to come up here.
Okay, are we talking about the Tourette's thing? I will say, that was pretty crazy. That was a pretty crazy one, I'm not gonna lie. The Tourette's drama. For those who don't know, there was an actor at the, I think it was the BAFTAs? I don't follow any celebrity bullshit like that has Tourette's. And he was in the crowd of the event, and he ended up having a tic where he said the N-word a few times, and it happens that the people up on stage doing the announcement are black, and it became this very, very contentious moment where you had a lot of people who are like very woke, very anti-racist, who saw a wealthy, older white guy who yelled the N-word in a crowd full of non-white people. A lot of non-white people were upset by it, and he's saying it's his Tourette's that caused it. And the response from a lot of people was, if you have Tourette's, then you better just stay away from black people. And I was like, I am not liking this drama and where it's going. I am not liking this entire situation or anybody that's expressing their opinion on it at this point. It got bad. I genuinely think that Tourette's issue is one of the worst discourses ever. And the only people who you should take seriously on it or listen to on it are people who have Tourette's. I think Sweet Anita made a really good video on it that I'd recommend you guys.
First of all, especially not if it's getting on your last nerve.
The fact that I have to come up here to break down for you the ABCs 1, 2, 3 do-re-mis of racism. Because some...
Oh my god, that's too many references. ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and do-re-mis of racism. I think she's just...
I didn't expect Tobuscus to still do the same exact bit that he did during his gaming videos when doing politics. Like the whole, like the way he talks and the kind of goofy, kid-friendly character he plays, because we know that this isn't what he's really like. Like his camera mannerisms here are not his real personality. He's actually kind of a druggy tweaker behind the scenes, based on what we've heard from him, and he is very like edgy, I guess is a good way of putting it. And obviously he's being edgy here, but I don't mean that in like the likes racist humor sense. I more so mean like, Tobuscus is friendly one moment and then might be insulting you the next. Like, that's kind of the sort of dude he is. He's literally, you're like on a razor's edge with him. So it's interesting that he's still doing this kind of bit while also doing right-wing politics. I guess he is just trying to become like some Chud Cocomelon channel. I don't know.
Exaggerating a little bit here, but let's give her a couple more minutes.
Some of you have the bombastic audacity.
Oh my god. Bombastic? I know that word. Bombastic. Is that about whiteness?
It's a good word.
Hold on. Does that mean like bad whiteness? I bet it does. Bombastic caucasity. Let me look these words up real quick. I don't. Inflated, high-sounding, wordy, verbose. Okay, pompous. Caucasity. I like that one. That's like epicosity. Derogatory term, stereotypically white behavior like arrogance. Bold entitlement, lacking awareness. That's her, dude. She comes in, she's like, I am the goddess of racism. I'm going to tell you how it's going to be. And by the way, you are arrogant.
The fact that I have to come
Doesn't really ring too well from you, Tobuscus, when like we scrolled through your entire upload log and a bunch of your videos are just you in your car ranting about wanting to say the N-word, and then your most recent tweet is you just putting yourself in AI blackface. So I probably don't agree with this lady at all. She seems toxic and cringe and stupid, and ableist for that matter as well. But come on, I think it's I don't think you've got any ground to stand on either, Tobuscus. Be real.
up here to break down for you the ABCs 1, 2, 3 do-re-mis of racism.
Kind of arrogant to think you can break down the alphabet and the number system. White privilege. Like the privilege you get for having a mental illness and accidentally having a tick go off, and your race has the privilege of being the only one that really can't say a certain word. Just happens to be the only one.
I love how the discussion of privilege and disadvantages in society, to a white person, not being allowed to say a certain word without social pushback is like a genuine disadvantage to them. Like, if you can't say the N-word, and that, like, that's apparently just as bad as being over 3 times as likely to get a harsh, guilty sentence for the same exact charge just because you're black. It's the same thing. Little social pushback for saying a word because you're white, just the same as serving 3 times as much time in prison or jail as a white person who committed the same crime. Or maybe the white guy who didn't even go to jail for committing the same crime. Are we really going to pretend? And we could go down the list of all these different disadvantages that are systemic and built up against black people, but if your prime example for white people is you can't say the N-word, which you can still say, by the way, you absolutely can say the N-word. Let's not pretend like Chud the Builder went to prison for saying the N-word and yelling it in public. He did that a lot. The reason he went to jail is because he shot somebody. So you're allowed to say it. You're just not allowed to say it with no social pushback consequences, because everyone's got their right to free speech and their right to push back against it, to give you some kind of social consequence. Maybe you get banned from some kind of event or party, or people decide not to be your friend anymore. That's not censorship, that's freedom of speech. But for the other people in the world besides you.
You can't say!
You have the bombastic audacity to want to litigate the racial intent of a white man.
Litigate the racial intent of a white man. To want to...
Okay, yeah, and I honestly, I hate them both. I hate them both. I really hate that whole Tourette's situation, because it really is an example of the left, or I guess I should say the woke side of the culture war, taking a really problematic position, you know? It was bizarre. Anyway, though, let's see what else has Tobuscus been up to since his dramatic fall off. He uploaded a video called, this one got 76,000 views at least. This one's called, the N-word. So, he's made a lot of videos about the N-word. He seems very fixated these days.
I wasn't even aware that it was Mental Health Awareness Month until I just started looking around the internet, and I was like, oh, this guy made $1 million off saying the N-word. This guy made $1 million off of stabbing a guy for saying, please move. Mental health, dude. I'm aware. It's maybe a lack of it. Shouldn't it be like the lack of mental health awareness month? You know, it's crazy because I was looking at it. I was like, because I'm not serious. I was like, what is May? May has got to be something. It was like every month something. It's mental health awareness month. Ma'am. Wait. M-A-M-H. Ma. I thought that was no, ma'am. Is it ma'am? Oh my God, it's ma'am. Mental health.
He might actually be losing it. I know that this is common with conservative car rant type videos where it just comes off as like a man documenting his own mental downfall. Is he high? He might be high. Oh yeah, he's probably high. Yeah, he might be on that cocaine right now. He might be on that good shit.
Awareness month. Ma'am. Somebody made...
How do people watch this? They aren't. That's the thing. They aren't. Like, if you go back and you look at Tobuscus's peak, he wasn't doing political stuff. He was doing anything from music to gaming to real-life vlog type content to skit type videos, and they all did numbers because he's a funny, talented guy, but he has allowed his reputation and ego being bruised by the fact that he did a horrible thing, allegedly. It got outed. It's attached to him now, and instead of just moving on from it and apologizing, and then focusing on using his talent to make good art that, you know, brings people back to him again, instead of doing that, he's trying to pander as hard as possible to the types of people who don't care that he did something like that, which is the far right. Racists. If you pander to racists, they don't care what you've done in your past. As long as you say the N-word enough for them, they'll give you money. They'll give you clicks. It's easy money just to yell the N-word for a living on the internet. It's very easy money. And Tobuscus knows that.
Oh no. They did that on purpose. Like, it's ma'am! Happy ma'am! Happy ma'am, everybody! What's June? I was thinking we could make May just be nobody break the law. May, but yeah, it's taken. Somebody...
Toby, you know that if you snort a line of coke, you broke the law, right? Like, you're gonna go a whole May without hitting the booger sugar? Really?
Didn't even think that was one of the good option. I think you could make it be a month where you're not allowed to break the law, or else everybody gets sent to an island, and then you have to fight to the death, like in the movie Battle Royale. Have you seen that? It's messed up because, you know, sometimes you don't even know what crimes are. You're like, oh, you're not allowed to wear socks and flip flops while you're driving a truck. Whatever. I don't know, something like that.
I'm pretty confident he's in a Cybertruck right now. I would bet, I'm pretty sure he's in a Cybertruck. Can anyone confirm?
I just made that. I don't know. It probably is true.
It's got to be a Tesla at
that,
least.
Even if it is legal. Doesn't mean you should be disgusting. But, yeah, N-word, dude. N-word's making a huge comeback, which is great because my ancestors loved it. I mean, I just, you know, I haven't said it yet. I've been waiting my whole life just for that. You know, because I think everyone's first time should be special. But now I think you can actually make a fundraiser. Like, oh yeah, $1 million? I'll say the N-word all day. I'll do it all day. 24-hour N-word. Yeah, you know, you $50.
I swear I did not pre-watch. But it's a part of right-wing culture. I don't know if you guys know this, but going back like over a decade, there's been a right-wing cultural trend among like, they take pride in going out of pocket to make loser, Nazi, incel weirdos rich. They like seeing left-wing people mauled and get upset and be triggered at the wealth and success of awful people, like villainous, awful, racist type people. And so Tobuscus knows that if he does do some kind of fundraiser, like, give me this $1 million and I'll say the N-word for 24 hours straight. If he did that, people would donate. A lot of people would donate. He knows. That's how the internet is these days. Remember the lady who screamed the N-word at that kid in the park and became a millionaire from it? He's probably referencing that story. I remember I read a comment that was something along the lines of, don't you people understand? Anyone you guys try to call racist, we will turn into a millionaire. When will you guys learn? Or when will you people learn? It was like, that was the comment along those lines. And that one kind of stuck with me as like very honest, like a very honest comment about how these people actually think, right? Success and wealth is not only a reward for having the right politics, it's also a marker of whether or not someone already has the right politics.
Each of you give $50, and then you get everyone you know. That's it's a pyramid scheme of the N-word, dude. It's a scam. I mean, it's not really technically because it is a word. It's just funny. All right, peace off. Outro of darkness.
No, he can't do that. Bro. Oh my god. You know how in The Boys you have those scenes where, like, some beloved, like, soup that kids loved 20 years ago is just a washed up, like, degenerate loser now? It is actually insane how accurately that show depicts that vibe, because we're seeing it so perfectly in Tobuscus right now. Like, genuinely, if I hope there's a day where he's able to get some kind of mental help. Like, this entire direction he's taken things in is like doubling and tripling down on being a bad person. And at this point, if he keeps pushing it too much further, there's not going to be any going back. I don't think he realizes that he could genuinely become mainstream again one day if he apologized and focused on using his talents to make good media, make good videos. He doesn't need to do this, but if he does take this easy way to try and get relevant again, there's absolutely no coming back from it. If he stops this now and pivots into a better direction, it might not be too late, but if he goes all in on this, there's no coming back. From the rape allegations to you know, being openly racist and homophobic and transphobic and all that, like, if you make that your decade online, you will never live it down, Tobuscus. The good news is it's not too late. You haven't fully sold yourself out to these people yet. It's only just starting. You still have time to pull yourself out of this and try to make things right. But unfortunately, I don't think Tobuscus is in the mindset where he's likely to make the right decision right now. As much as I hate to say it. You know, I like Tobuscus, or I liked him originally when he was cool when I was growing up. I don't want his story to end tragically with him becoming a Nazi and then, I don't know, just running himself off the internet by being so cringe and awful. I hope for a happy ending to this story. That much I will say.